And welcome back to Jeff Koinangel, live at the Villa Rosa Kempinski on this Inspiration Thursday. Great guests I have tonight. Former Member of Parliament for Lagdera, former Deputy Speaker Farah Malim, and the man from Emmanuel, publisher, journalist, political analyst Barack Maluka. By the way, if you're just joining us now after KPLC has, well, been doing a KPLC. We had invited Member of Parliament for Tetu, Dogo Gidenji, who's also the chairman of the Parliamentary Defense Committee. He turned us down 2 hours ago saying he had to go for a briefing because, in his words, we are in a combat situation. So keep tweeting. Those of you who have power, those of you who don't, well, there's always YouTube tomorrow morning. But what a show you're missing. It's not your fault. Tweets coming in thick and fast. At Farah Malim, at Barack M, at Koinangel Jeff. The hashtag, I stand with KDF. Phil Mwangi, on the heels of Kenya Power, he says, Kenya Power has decided that we won't watch JKL despite being in Nairobi. He's following his tweets, he's following the show on Twitter. Thank you, Phil. Keep following it. Here we go. So many tweets. Muhammad Ali Noor says, we shall pick from where we have left. They will pay. We shall not rest. Citizen 4 says, why don't we just stand guard at our borders instead of camping in other people's countries? Interesting. Jonathan says, something is wrong with the intelligence on the security. Our men are used as just craft pots. Okay. Gentlemen, so many tweets. I can't read them all, but a lot of people saying, echoing what you all were saying earlier on, is that
I had not finished, but I'll explain.
Maybe we shouldn't be there. Maybe we should pull out of Somalia.
You see, Jeff, eventually we have to leave that country. That's not our country. We can't have a permanent and military presence in Somalia. We have to have a game plan now. We have to have a roadmap now. We have to decide to train the Somali armed forces. We have to make sure that they take responsibility for their own security.
And we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
Because we're busy doing what?
Nobody's doing
after
that.
we secured Kismayu.
Yes. We allowed the political process in Kismayu to be taken over by a neighboring country.
Just say by Ethiopia.
They're by Ethiopia,
for
that
let's
matter.
call a spade a spade.
Yes. And everybody has doubted Ethiopia's intentions on these things. You see, Ethiopia is not a small country. It's a country that has got a 2,500 years history.
That's right. And they have a million-man army.
And they have a plan. And the plan has never changed. Yeah. From Johannes to Theodros to Menelik to Haile Selassie to Mengistu to the national interest is one. To Meles Zenawi, they can have their own fights as to who is going to lead the country. But the policies in the region by Mengistu is no different from the ones by Meles Zenawi, his enemy and rival, the late Meles Zenawi.
Yeah.
And they will destabilize every country in here. The destabilization of Eritrea is there, you know that, it's still on. In South Sudan, Republic of South Sudan.
But they're our new best friend.
I mean, but I'm talking to you about it. And in Somalia, in Djibouti, Ethiopia is got a different thing. You're looking at East African community as the old British colony. They're looking at what they call the Afro-Asiatic Africa. They're looking at a grand nation that consists on Somalia and what do you call Eritrea, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. To be either called Ethiopia or to be called Abyssinia, which essentially was the case.
Originally,
yes,
it was
Abyssinia included Somalis, everybody, the Semitic, Hamitic, construct of that. And I will not be surprised if there are Somalis who believe the same thing now. You see what I mean? So we don't seem to have, our foreign policy had been managed by the leadership on an ad hoc basis.
So answer the question, should we pull out?
We should pull out, but we're not going to pull out now. We're going to eventually we'll pull out. We just have to have a roadmap.
Barack,
we have to be there for the next 3 years.
Next 3-4 years?
Yes, indeed, yes. But of course, train the military, train what you call the police force, see how we can degrade the capacity of Al-Shabaab to the extent which basically cannot pose a threat to anybody. See how we can have a unified political approach to Somalia. We don't have a unified political approach to Somalia.
3-4 years means
how
2020.
we can bring, hang on a minute. How we can bring in, just a moment. Don't be in a hurry, hold your horse. How we can bring in other countries, non-frontline countries. I heard about the Chadians coming into Somalia.
Oh my.
Chadians, It makes a lot
They
of
can
sense.
fight. Those people can
Oh
fight.
yes, not only can they fight, but they do not have a direct interest as a neighboring country.
So there's conflict of interest. Is
There's
what you're
a
saying.
conflict of interest
Okay,
with the
let me get
neighboring
to Parag.
frontline
Parag,
states.
should we pull out?
You see,
3-4 years, Mheshimiwa
you
says.
brought me here with a politician today, so you have to protect me.
I am with him also on the Nation TV every Monday, and he says the same thing.
There's a
So
politician here.
it's time he
remember
turned
Mark
into a
Twain.
politician himself.
Yeah,
He better
Mark
become
Twain
a
Mark
politician.
Twain said that it's important to
Go ahead.
change politicians and diapers. Yeah.
Move on.
But let's come back to what he's saying. He said very fundamental things about the history of Ethiopia, and incidentally, their military history is very complex, going all the way back to those.
Just a moment. Yes, they control everything.
Yeah.
You're talking about a nation of about 10, 12 million people.
Yeah.
You
It's
see what
like
I mean?
it's the wild,
There's-
wild
There's
west.
no way 4,000, 5,000 Kenyan forces can come out there and find out whether they're treated and bring peace in there or force peace on them.
So,
Well,
can I
But
finish?
there are other
Can I
Amazons.
haven't
There
finished.
are other troops.
No,
I have not finished.
he's never going to finish.
Oh
eh?
my God.
You know,
But Barak, you've
it's
just
like-
made your
it's like-
point.
It's like Duale. Let me finish. I've not finished. Let me finish.
They're the same. They're cousins.
he's telling
They're
us
cousins.
That the entire 12 million
Yeah.
or so are soldiers.
Right.
Yeah.
The entire country.
yes, the entire country are soldiers,
Yeah.
and that being there, we have gone there to
Okay.
engage in combat against
The entire country.
No, it's not going to happen. Okay, gentlemen,
But
real
that's-
quick, real quick,
that's
real quick.
not what I'm saying.
Real
You see,
quick. No, no,
what-
no, no, no. Look,
no,
we're
no.
running out of time, so I want some summary from you, gentlemen. Going forward,
my
how do
position-
you inspire the troops who are on the ground now, the morale, which is at an all-time low?
Yes.
Give them a morale booster right now, because after all, we stand by the KDF right now. Go on, Mheshimiwa, you go first.
Now we actually, well, basically what we need to do right now is to stand with our forces. We can't talk anything other than to see how best our forces can protect themselves. You see what I mean? And I'm sure there's going to be an investigation by the Department of Defense to find out exactly where the mistakes were. And I'm sure all these things we're talking about, including the relationship with the other countries, is something that is also very high on the minds of the leadership of the country. You know, it's not that we have a vacuum in the leadership. No, we probably wanted a bit of sentimentality by having the president coming here and getting emotional and receiving that. But wherever he is, he's definitely dealing with this problem, and along with the other officers. General Madede and all the service commanders, these are professional folks, and they're working on these things, and I'm sure they will come up with some kind of solutions. But my position is that in the long term, there needs to be some kind of an exit strategy. We cannot stay in that country forever. We cannot occupy and own it. And the problems are definitely going to increase. What we need to see is to see how much more other friendly countries in the continent can come and support us on that. How we can empower the Somali security machinery itself. Because of the arms embargo, they do not have the armored personnel carriers, they do not have helicopter gunships, they do not have big guns. You see what I mean? Al-Shabaab, by and large, has got even a bigger firepower than Somali National Army itself. They do not have salaries. They have no way of collecting taxes. So Somalia is a failed state. But you look like the assumption is that what comes out of it is that there's an international conspiracy to maintain it in that failed state and to allow other foreign occupation forces, who, by the way, are going to be seen by the Somalis as occupation forces. But we need the support of the Somalis themselves to eliminate this problem, which is a global problem, which we all are hell-bent on making sure that it's eliminated, but we have to get the right resources and the right coalitions to eliminate that.
Great. Thanks, Speaker. Appreciate it. Rock with the 2 hours.
The first thing is that we must refrain from embracing this propaganda that Kenya is an occupying force in Somalia. And I keep hearing that from people like my friend.
I haven't said Kenya is. I said
You
the
said anybody
assumption
who's
will be.
not
Anybody
there,
who is not,
we're on an occupying
an
force.
Ethiopian
Assumption
You said
citizen,
that.
Somali
precisely an
national.
occupation, yeah.
Yeah,
In the long run,
these are my
it can be seen
conclusive
that way.
remarks. So, conclusive remarks,
Yes.
one is allowed to make them quietly, no matter how picked the other person is.
Yes.
Yeah, so we must refrain from this thing of saying that let us vacate that space. That's the reason why we are being pounded. If we vacate without having subdued these fellows, they will come all the way up to wherever it is that you are going to have surrendered that space. I think there's also a certain agenda, and this is not the first time really that we are having a problem with that part. We had a problem in the 60s, we had the shifters, and we were able to bring an end to the shifter menace. We can also bring an end to the Al-Shabaab menace. If we are going to stay with our eyes fixed on the correct reason why we are there, I want to believe that some of the narratives that we had about certain people having gotten involved in business and commercial undertakings are true.
Yeah.
And when you start getting involved in those kinds of things, you
drop the ball.
Drop the ball.
Yeah.
And after you've dropped the ball, you must
And
take.
And boys,
you're alluding to the leadership of the
must-
military.
You must take
Well,
the,
whoever's
Yeah,
involved.
alluding to the military, yeah.
We're talking about charcoal and sugar.
Whoever it is, we've heard about charcoal.
Of course,
we've
yes.
heard
Of
about
course,
sugar.
yes.
Yeah.
And
So we
must
dropped the ball a long time ago.
There you
We
go.
lost focus.
refocus.
Absolutely.
And just a retreat, a withdrawal does not help to
No,
solve
no.
it doesn't.
Nobody has said withdraw.
the issues. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so going forward, looking at El Ade within the military prisons and within the sensitivities that they have to keep and stay beholden to, they must investigate this whole matter and find out what happened, why we were caught so flat-footed.
Yeah, we're caught, yeah.
And
Heads must roll. Heads must roll.
Other than saying it in a very poetic language, English language,
Yeah.
with a lot of literature.
Greek mythology.
We're just saying the same thing, by the way. Let me tell
not
you.
my fault
Ba-
that
Barak-
I learned
Barak-
poetry.
Barak is
my
not
fault.
saying any different from what I'm saying,
My
by
brother.
the way.
yes.
These are little gifts that, you know, we give
thank you.
when...
But that's not his size. This man is too big for this. Are you
No,
sure?
no, this is my size. And,
My brother, are
and
you
I've
trying
got
to question
my
me
sister
even
who
with
also
my
like
gifts
this,
you're
yeah.
questioning?
Team JKL.
Yeah.
Team JKL, my brother.
But tell
Excellent.
him,
Listen.
tell him to respect my poetry.
Oh, your poetry,
No, no, no,
especially
no.
Alfred Lord Tennyson. By the way, Mheshimiwa, next time you come on the show, I want you to come with
With a
House
poem.
Majority Leader. Eight
But
Tuale.
you promised last time you're going to
they
create
won't
an
survive. The
opportunity.
bench will burn.
No. Look. When it's me and the House Majority Leader,
Yes.
you'll be surprised. There's going to be so much respect.
I
So
don't
much.
think so.
Listen,
No,
this
come
is-
on, man.
Look.
We don't want a cousin,
we
get
we have
together.
a contest for these things in a very civilized
Okay, can
manner.
you beat him in Garissa Town?
I told you this will be decided by the people of Garissa. Wait. Hold your horse and wait until the election time happens.
All right.
But, you know, it's in my culture. You're not even sure whether you're going to reach 2017. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a reason why they made him speaker, right?
Yes.
He speaks
He
too much.
speaks too much.
By the way, Gunjiri Wambogo has reminded you
Yes.
and all of us
Yes.
that don't forget Kenya is not fighting under the banner of the country Kenya. They're fighting under AMISOM.
Agreed.
Burundian troops have been attacked in Somalia as well.
Of course,
It's
yes.
not just Kenyan troops.
course, yes.
Let's not forget that going forward. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
But you know, there's a
Asante
separate
sana.
command. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, Amazon is there as Amazon. But right now, Amazon, why don't we have an Amazon spokesman telling us these things? Why do the Kenyans have to carry their own cross,
Yeah.
and the Burundians carry their own, and the Ugandans when they attack?
There's a disconnect.
You see what I mean?
There's a disconnect.
Yeah, Ngujiri is right. But ordinarily, we should have had an
I agree
Amazon
with
command.
him, apart from
Yes.
the fact that he's putting it in a kind of Philistine idiom.
Philistine.
We are basically saying the same thing. He
Which
needs
we are-
to be less prosaic.
You see, Barak,
Teach him some poetry. Teach him some poetry.
Barak is a political machinery. He works for us in ODM,
All right.
and now he's also ingratiating himself to
Gentlemen,
Jubilee.
I work
Gentlemen,
for you.
it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. Please keep tweeting. Those of you with power tonight, keep tweeting because we are no doubt standing by the KDF. That's our hashtag tonight. I stand with KDF. You can also tweet us at Faramalim, at Barack M, at Koinangel Jeff. Use that hashtag. Let's support our troops. And yes, folks, we are already knee-deep in Somalia. We're not about to pull out.
And the families of the deceased
The
soldiers.
families of the
The
deceased,
education of
especially,
those children.
they're in
the
our thoughts and
compensation
prayers.
for them, yes, that
They're in
must
our
be
thoughts
done
and
very
prayers.
well and very fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to take care of those. Yeah.
Thanks so much,
Definitely,
gentlemen. Thank you so
definitely.
much.
Thank you.
It made Inspiration
Asante.
Thursday really powerful. Next week, new show, new guests, new themes. But the only thing that's consistent is that it's the same place, same time. Make sure you're tuned to Jeff Koinangel live here at the Villa Rosa Kempinski every Wednesday and Thursday, right here on Kenya's television network, KTN.